Let's go to our senior White House correspondent, Garrett Haake, who's been watching this alongside us. I'm waiting to see, Garrett, if he takes any more questions, but I don't think so. Garrett, there were a lot of headlines there. Can we start with the Middle East and what the president said about the possibility of having some kind of peace deal involving Israel and Gaza? I think if I heard him right, he said maybe today we'll have something to say. But then he went on to say, I still need to talk to the Israeli leader. Yeah, this sort of puts us in the middle of a discussion that the president has been having with regional leaders that started when he was at the UN 2 days ago. He met with a group of leaders from Muslim-majority countries in that region to talk about his peace plan for the Middle East. He said he would continue that conversation today with President Erdogan. He's expected to meet with Prime Minister Netanyahu early next week, I believe on Monday. But you would, of course, need everybody to be on board to get to any kind of agreement. And the president has expressed optimism on Middle East peace and on ending the war in Gaza before. It's worth noting, by the way, he was criticized in an interview that President Erdogan did earlier this week on Fox News for not having done so. So I think that will be a major topic today, Kate, but I would be surprised if there's any specific breakthrough, barring, up until there's some serious conversation with the Israelis. And Erdogan, a major player in the region, obviously, but we heard the president twice say you've got to stop buying Russian oil, and indicating that maybe they'll have something to say after this meeting about that. Yeah, that's right. I mean, Turkey has one of the biggest and most advanced militaries in NATO, but the Turks have kind of taken a back seat when it comes to the war between Russia and Ukraine. The president noting that Erdogan has tried to have some degree of neutrality in that conflict. The president said the most useful thing he thinks the Turks can do is to stop buying any oil and natural gas from Russia, and that's going to be one of the subjects of their conversations. There's a lot of economic and military levers here at play for the United States. Kate, you may notice on the president's lapel there's an image of a fighter jet. One of the things that the Turks likely want out of this meeting is a resumption of sales of advanced American aircraft to Turkey. Perhaps you could see a deal that is struck here relating to energy purchases on one hand, military hardware on the other. All of these things are tied together. Yeah, it's always a negotiation for the president, it seems. Let me ask you about a couple domestic things that came up at the end there. The president was asked about the shooting at the ICE facility in Dallas and also about an indictment of James Comey. Yeah, on the ICE facility shooting, the president laying this entirely at the feet of what he called the radical left, specifically radical left Democrats. He's getting ahead of law enforcement there, who've not, as late as I've seen, Kate, and I understand there was a press conference going on while we were in this photo spray. Law enforcement have not ascribed a motive to this shooting, but the president, as he has done in other recent similar episodes, saying that this is all about radical left rhetoric, radical left violence, putting a political framing around this. We don't know that to be the case. At least I don't know that to be the case, given that some of these developments are happening very much in real time. And on the other major domestic story that he was asked about, reporting that we at NBC News have had and others have had, suggesting that an indictment might be coming soon for former FBI Director James Comey, perhaps for lying to Congress back in 2020. That was the thrust of the investigation. The president said he's not up on the specifics of that it won't be his decision, it'll be the DOJ's decision. He alluded to the new prosecutor in the Eastern District of Virginia where this matter's being handled, a woman named Lindsay Halligan. She was handpicked by the president. She was a former attorney of his, no prosecutorial experience. So while he says he doesn't have any direct discretion or direct role in the decision to charge, he's made it very clear he wants to see those charges happen in a series of social media posts from last weekend, and said today that he thinks Comey is, I believe, a sick person. So keeping up his personal attacks on Comey, which is something, by the way, Kate, that some federal prosecutors believe could ultimately undermine any case that gets brought, which would allow Comey to say this is all potentially political. Yeah, and people who've been watching along with us, Garrett, may have also noticed he was asked about the government shutdown and put that at the feet of the Democratic Party as well. Should people be worried that we might be heading toward a government shutdown at this point? Kate, our colleagues over on Capitol Hill put the risk pretty high, above a 50% chance that we'll have a shutdown when the clock on federal funding runs out next week. Right now, you have a short-term funding bill that's been passed by the House, hung up in the Senate where it would need Democratic support. Democrats say they won't provide that support without at least a conversation with the White House about expanding some tax credits related to the Affordable Care Act. They want to see some more money put into health care and perhaps a reversal of some of the Medicaid
Medicaid cuts that were in the bill passed on entirely Republican support earlier this year. Earlier this week, Kate, the White House said they're not interested in having these conversations with Democrats. You heard the president say there he thinks their demands are unreasonable. And he has indicated, his administration has indicated, they're prepared to make this shutdown pretty painful by not just furloughing workers who wouldn't come to work, but by laying them off entirely. Democrats see that as a threat, not necessarily one the president will follow through on, but the rhetoric has been fully ratcheted up ahead of the deadline now just a few days away.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.